Shalom everybody, and welcome to another Pod for Israel. I'm here with Dr. Golan Broshi. My name is Dr. Seth Postel, and we are continuing in our series of the case for Messiah, an Old Testament defense of the New Testament faith. And today we're actually going to be looking at a passage that has received quite a bit of heat from the anti-missionaries, Isaiah chapter 7 verse 14, and we're going to be asking ourselves, did the gospel writers distort the words of Isaiah 7:14? So good to see you back, Golan.
Good
Welcome
to see
back.
you. Thank you.
So let me just kind of set the stage. I'll introduce kind of the issues here. So we actually have two very different translations of the Hebrew text of Isaiah chapter 7:14. And so we actually have, for instance, a New American Standard version. Therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, a virgin will be with a child and bear a son, and she will call his name Emmanuel. The JPS, on the other hand, which is a Jewish translation of the Hebrew Bible, actually says, look, the young woman is with child and about to give birth to a son. And so for a young woman to be pregnant is not so much of a miracle, right? That's normal.
Yes. So the issue is the definition of that girl, Alma versus Betula.
Correct.
In Hebrew.
So are we, does the original Hebrew word actually mean virgin or not? So there are two very different translations, and obviously there are two very different interpretations, right? Yep. So if we look at the New Testament, both in Matthew chapter 1 and in Luke chapter 1, it's clear that they understand that Mary, right, Miriam, is this virgin that is supernaturally pregnant, and that is a sign that Jesus fulfills this passage. Whereas if you look at the Jewish rabbinic interpretations, they would argue, they've got a couple of different arguments. They would say that this woman is not a virgin, right? It's Isaiah's wife, right? And that by naming the son Emmanuel, she does it by the power of the Holy Spirit. Or others would say that the young woman is Ahaz's wife or his daughter. Okay?
So the rabbinic approach would be that the word Alma is for a young girl, but not necessarily a virgin, and it doesn't talk about a future prophecy that would be fulfilled 700 years, but something that is fulfilled in the next chapter or in the same chapter.
Correct. So, and we've got a kind of a slide that kind of summarizes the issue. So here's the anti-missionary claims against the New Testament. And there are really two. I mean, we could probably add some, but I think the main arguments that the New Testament has twisted or distorted Isaiah 7:14 is, first, the Gospels mistranslated the word Alma. The original Hebrew word for Alma is young woman, is what they argue, and that if Isaiah wanted to say that a virgin is pregnant, they would have used the Hebrew word Betula.
So he would have used a different word.
The different word. So that Matthew basically muddles the original word. Secondly, and this is another argument, is that Matthew and Luke ripped Isaiah 7:14 out of context. The sign is given to Ahaz, right? And therefore it had to have been fulfilled in the days of Ahaz. And the sign is that Samaria and Aram would be defeated. So it can't be a prophecy that's dealing with something that happened 700 years later.
So let's focus now on the first thing.
Yeah.
And that's a really important issue. What does the word Alma actually mean?
So in this podcast, I think what we'll do, obviously we're going to address these two concerns one at a time. Okay, we're going to deal with it one at a time. And so the big focus, what in the world does the word Alma mean, right? What does it even mean? Did the gospel writers abuse it, mistranslate it? Let's just be honest with our sources here too. I think a book that came out recently that's a very important book is by Christoph Rico and Peter J. Gentry, The Mother of the Infant King, Isaiah 7:14. And they did a lot of work on the meaning of Alma and Betula. So it's a book it's worth a read.
Okay, so but before the word Alma, we would just want to make clear, what does the word Betula actually means?
So in modern Hebrew, if you wanted to say virgin, how would you say?
I would say Betula.
Betula. That's the only word, right? In modern Hebrew, there's no other word to refer to a virgin. And so the argument goes, likewise, in modern Hebrew, so in biblical Hebrew, there's only one word for virgin, and it's Betula, and it's not the word that Isaiah uses.
He uses Alma.
Correct. So the word betula, how many times does it appear in the
At
Hebrew
least
Bible?
50 times
50
in
times.
different versions. Yeah.
Okay. Exodus 22 verse 16 in the English, verse 15 in the Hebrew. I'll give you an example. If a man seduces a virgin who is not engaged, betula,
Yep.
right, and lies with her, he must pay a dowry for her to be his wife. So it's clear that the word here, betula, means virgin.
She didn't know a man. She didn't sleep with anybody yet.
Correct. So there is actually one contested use of betula. And again, there's over 50 times that it appears. There's one contested use of the word betula, and that's in Joel chapter 1, verse 8. So Joel 1:8 says, wail like a virgin, a betula, girded with sackcloth for the bridegroom of her youth. So some people would argue that this word, the use of the word betula here, proves that betula can't mean virgin, because how can a woman who's a virgin be lamenting the bridegroom of her youth? In other words, obviously they were already together. However,
Yeah, it probably means that she's mourning the loss of her fiancé before.
correct. So we would agree, right, that betula does in fact mean virgin.
Yep.
Okay, and that's actually what Rico and Gentry also, they would argue that betula actually refers to virgin, and in the case of Joel, it actually shows that betula has no respect for age.
So in Hebrew, betula can mean, betula doesn't have any respect for age. It's just a virgin woman, either
Correct.
young or old.
Correct. And also in modern Hebrew.
Exactly.
Alrighty. So now this is the debated.
What
alma.
about
what is the word alma?
Alma.
Okay, the word is used nine times, right?
So it's rare. It's not as common as betula in the Bible.
Is it the word alma? Is the meaning always clear in the Hebrew Bible?
Nope, and it's not always clear. And even in modern Hebrew, it's not so clear. What do you mean when you say alma? Is it a young girl? Is she? It doesn't.
Okay.
It's not so clear.
So what's really important to notice that the word is not used a whole lot in the Hebrew Bible, and there are cases where you simply cannot know what it means because it's used, for instance, for titles in the Psalms. It doesn't say what they are. So Psalm 46, the superscription, Psalm 68, verse 25, Song of Songs 1:3, 1 Chronicles 15:20. We don't know. We can't use these to determine its meaning.
So in other words, in some places where the word alma appears, it doesn't say anything about it. It's just a title, and it doesn't interpret it.
Correct.
Okay.
But, and this is really important, in every clear case, when the word is used, the word refers to a girl who is a virgin. So for instance, Rebecca in Genesis 24 verse 43, she's a virgin. She's a young woman who's not yet married. Exodus 2:8. It's clear that the word there means virgin. Miriam is Moses' older sister, but she's young.
Of course.
Right? Song of Songs 6:8. These are cases where the word can be checked, and in these instances, we're dealing with women who are young and virgins.
So where's the debate?
Okay, where's the debate? Obviously the big debate would be Isaiah 7:14.
But we can't use that,
But
right?
we can't use that because that would be begging the question, right? We can't use our premise to prove the conclusion.
So we have one more place.
There's one more place, though, that the anti-missionaries love to use as proof that alma does not refer to a virgin. That's in Proverbs 30, verse 19.
So that's the proof text.
That's the proof text that it cannot mean virgin.
So what does it say there?
So let's read it, okay? Proverbs 30, verses 18 and 19. There are three things which are too wonderful for me, four which I do not understand. The way of an eagle in the sky, the way of a serpent on a rock, the way of a ship in the middle of the sea, and the way of a man with a maid.
Alma.
Alma, okay, whatever that means. This is the way of an adulterous woman. She eats and wipes her mouth and says, I have done no wrong. And so I've actually heard some of the anti-missionaries actually say, here, this is proof. What does a man do with a maid? He sleeps with her, and therefore she can't be a virgin. But there's a problem with that. I want you to notice, number one, we're dealing with poetry, and so there's a debate as to what exactly is the point being made. What's too wonderful? And some have actually argued that what's amazing is that the way of an eagle in the sky means that an eagle flies through the sky and there are no traces.
He doesn't leave a trace.
He doesn't leave a trace. What about a serpent on a rock?
Also a serpent on the rock and the sheep on the sea. Doesn't leave a trace.
Doesn't leave